With over 1 million professional members, the Internet Marketing Association is a force to be reckoned with. This is I Am a Leader, the official podcast of the world's largest association of Internet marketers. Join Dominic Sirianni, CMO, as he sits down with inspirational leaders, delves into the research lab, shares career opportunities from IMA partners like Microsoft, Oracle, and Adobe, and gives you the insights you need to perform at your best. Here's your host, Dominic Sirianni.
Hello, IMA, and welcome to a very special episode of I Am a Leader. Normally, I do a recap of what we've talked about in the past. We talk about where we're going in the future, but today we have a pretty hot topic and a great guest, so I want to dive right in. We're going to be talking about email marketing today, which I know is near and dear to many of your hearts. And my guest is Mr. Sean Shoffstall. And Sean, you are the VP of Mapp Digital, and you're here to talk to us all about, again, this hot topic of email marketing. Before we get into that, though, why don't you tell us a little bit about your background and how you ended up in your current position?
Sure, absolutely. So I've been doing this digital marketing thing for a little bit over 20 years now. We started way back when HTML email was just starting off, and we had these things called pop-ups. I'm not sure if people remember those, but Netscape was one of our first clients. I actually started off doing digital marketing up in Portland, Oregon, and then came down. Netscape was our first major client, and moved down to San Francisco at the time to join a company called Ozone Advertising, traditional ad agency, just getting into digital marketing back in 98 is when they really started picking up. And Netscape was one of our first big clients in doing pop-ups, the 250 by 250 pop-ups that annoyed the crud out of everybody. I'm not sure if people remember Punch the Monkey, but that bring back some horror stories. But over the years, we morphed from Ozone Advertising into Ozone Online, which became one of the premier digital marketing agencies in the Bay Area, working with a lot of B2B and B2C companies and high-tech financial services, healthcare, all over the place. And over the years, we grew the company, and eventually Teradata Marketing Applications acquired us a couple years ago. And we became a core part of their services division for their digital marketing applications. From there, going beyond just the traditional email, looking at social, mobile, how that all integrates. And then our last acquisition was actually a DMP. Well, all of that culminated into last July. Teradata decided to step away from the marketing application space, and our division was acquired by Blue Hornet, and we've recently rebranded as Mapp Digital. So now Mapp Digital is probably the largest digital marketing company you've never heard of. because of the rebranding of these two companies, Blue Hornet with their long tradition of being a great provider of email marketing, and the Teradata Marketing Applications group doing email marketing on a global scale with also that social and mobile aspects and the DMP aspects as well. We're looking to come out into this space pretty strong. We really look at this as we're a bunch of marketers developing marketing software. So where we look in the space, there's a lot of technology companies out there who have different focuses, whether that happens to be on CRM or ad space or whatever it happens to be. We really see ourselves in this unique space where we're coming at this from, we've been doing this marketing thing for a really long time. I'm not sure if a lot of people know this, but Blue Hornet has had a long history of their full services group. Me coming from the Ozone space and then into Teradata, we have digital marketers who have been doing this for a long time. And so now, we build this idea of the customer engagement platform. So that is a long-winded story to say I've been doing this for a long time and have seen how this industry has changed. And now I actually feel like, we're finally to this place where what we've been waiting for a long time is how do we go beyond just email and actually get these other channels working together. And I think that people are going to be really surprised with what they see coming out from our customer engagement platform.
So, Sean, I love the mix. I love the background. Obviously, it's deep and broad. Talk to me a little bit more about your current role. Tell me about what you're doing today at Mapp, what your team looks like, what you're responsible for.
Yeah, absolutely. So Mapp Digital is a global brand. We've got offices. We're headquartered in San Diego. Our EMEA offices are located in Munich. We have still our San Francisco office, London, Paris, Raleigh, even some of our other offices in Israel and the Netherlands. So when I came to the leadership team for Mapp Digital, I came on originally running the brand, the rebranding organization, and also the Americas field marketing organization. But over the last 2 months, we've taken a look at how we're going to be most successful, not only in the Americas here, but also globally. And so I'm also the Americas GM. So we've added the sales role, and we've done something really unique here. Is that we've actually what we used to do at Ozone, which is try to get people to get their sales and marketing teams to work really closely together to get the right message all the way through from the moment you meet a prospect through them actually turning into a customer. We're actually living and breathing that. So under my group, I have both the sales team and the marketing team here in the Americas, and it's really cool how we have this set up now. So our marketing people are working hand in hand with the sales team. So when we're out there doing events, when we're out there doing prospecting, or we just launched our consumer view survey, which I think we'll talk a little bit about today. We're looking at this as part of the moment we meet somebody to how do we get them to be aware of Mapp? How do we get them to be interested in our thought leadership content? But then also, how do we empower our sales people? So we're actually eating the dog food that we're trying to sell to our customers. So it's really great. And we become our own best case study.
Oh, I was actually glad you mentioned you become your own best case study. The organizations that I found that are most effective, the ones who can pivot the fastest, the ones who do well from a thought leadership perspective are the ones who eat their own dog food. So I'm glad that you guys are part of that. And being part of that through the history that you described before, you see things and your team has such a depth of knowledge and a perspective that I don't think exists with a lot of players who are in the space right now. But I want to pivot. I want to get into the survey you talked about. I want to get into specifically email marketing. So for those who don't know, and I would be surprised in this audience if there are many who don't, but talk to us about the survey, about what you've done. I think this is the 5th year running. And then we'll start getting into what conclusions you can draw. But give us a little bit of the background before we get into the results.
Yeah, okay, absolutely. So this is our consumer view survey. It's something that Blue Hornet was running for the last 5 years, and now as Mapp Digital, we're going to be continuing to do this. We just launched it a week and a half ago, so I know this is a podcast, so that doesn't really help everyone. On October 16th, we launched this, and it's something that we've started to see. Now that we've done it for 5 years, some trends. It's something we do with flagship research, and we go out and we survey 1,700 consumers, and not marketers, not people who are out there doing what I'm assuming most people in this podcast do, which is, in the marketing or advertising space, but actual consumers, the people we're trying to reach. We target people all across the U.S., and, of those 1,700 people that we surveyed, we've got a big age group, and we tried to get it dispersed across the different generations. And this year, it was actually very, very helpful to start to dive into the data to see how the different generations are actually responding to this. Also, we take a look at economically, how was our survey set up? So on average, we've our mean is somewhere in the $50,000 a year range for the household income. So, we're really targeting the general population of who we're going after in the marketing space.
And are there specific devices that you're looking at? So as the industry transitions, are you getting feedback on mobile versus laptop versus desktop, or I know even now wearable devices come to play into that. How are you chunking that data, or are you asking about utilization across all of those different platforms?
So first of all, we talk about email marketing in general. We also talk a little bit about social, but then some of our deeper questions, we do start talking about devices, and not just about which devices they have. One of the really cool things that we saw, and this is where you first start to see the breakup between the generations, but is something like 91%, and forgive me if I'm off a percentage or two. 91% of people between the age of 18 and 24 use a mobile device to check their email every day. Now, when we get to the age groups of 35 plus, that's still in the high 70s. So we're really starting to look at how they do that. But it's also not just about do they use a smartphone or not. It's also looking at how many devices are they doing. Because I think that especially I'll date myself a little bit. You guys heard I've got a long career here. I'm in my 40s, and I think for a lot of my generation, we still use in business, we still use our laptops or desktops quite a bit to check email, but we're also checking on mobile phones, and we're also checking on tablet devices. Whereas I think what we're seeing in the data, a lot of the younger generations, they will use their smartphones as a primary device. So we try to, in the survey, actually give some key helpful points for marketers. So, what does this really mean? We don't just give you the numbers, but okay, so now if we know that the 18 to 24 generation spend a lot of time primarily on their smartphones, if they're a big part of your market, then how do you change your messaging? Because it's not just about we have a question in there about what do you do if you see an email that's not properly rendered on your mobile device. More than 50% of the people will actually delete it. But it also, we have some pointers in there about content, because if you're delivering content on a mobile device, it's not just about making sure that it looks right, it's that it's readable and that it's actionable actually on that device as well.
So I'm a member of the case study that you're talking about. I think I sit on the bubble, right? So I'm 37.
Okay.
I use my cell for everything except work. I mean, a little bit of work. I'll check email, I'll send texts, we'll do what we need to do there. But the challenge for me is when I'm really going to dive into my inbox, when I'm really going to work through email, I need the heft. I need a laptop with me. How do, from an email marketing perspective, maybe you can talk about some of the conclusions, some of the advice that you're offering, because there is this great divide that those of us who tend to be under 40 or those who tend to be maybe under 35 are using their mobile much more frequently. But for email specifically, those over that age tend to gravitate back towards a laptop.
Well, but you said something really interesting just there. You said that you still use your laptop for work. And as marketers, a lot of times what we're doing is we're trying to drive a certain kind of action in retail or e-commerce. We're trying to drive a purchase. If we're a B2B marketer, we're trying to drive some sort of content or some sort of engagement to connect with that salesperson or whatever the product is, right? So I think that what the data tells us here is you also have to think about the context. Right? If you're a B2C marketer and you're trying to hit that 18 to 35 range of generation, and it is a product that you're selling that is simple and you can do it with a wallet, a digital wallet purchase, or through some sort of membership purchase, so you make that checkout process easy. Well, guess what? You can reach that person on the smartphone. Make sure that the content is consistent from the email to the shopping experience to the checkout experience to the follow-up experience, the receipt or whatever that is. Make sure that that's all mobilely optimized. But you know what? If you're a B2B marketer and I'm trying to target you with a 5-page white paper because it's really good content that's going to be important for you to make a purchasing decision, well, guess what? If you're opening that up on a mobile device, what about using responsive design to say, hey, we're sending a B2B email. If somebody opens up on a mobile device, let's give them a remind me later button that they can click that, and the same email will come to them 4 hours later, so that when you are at your laptop or when you are at your tablet and you can take a more long form piece of content to do your research and things like that, it's available to you. And I think that's where marketers still haven't quite gotten there, is that the studies are showing that, and our consumer review survey shows that people are willing to, take marketing messages multiple times a week, as long as it's relevant and as long as you're using the personalization information that I'm giving you. And personalization information also means the content I've interacted with you before or the purchases I've done with you before, right? But also, if personalization is also about the kind of content that I'm engaging with you at that moment on, it's also time of day and day of week. Right. And I think this goes across generations. It's if somebody just purchased from you, it might not be the best time to go and try to get them to purchase again. So maybe there's timing that goes in there. Your mobile device also tells you, at least for our generation, I'm going to lump you into my generation here. At least for our generation, it tells us if we're on a mobile device, we're probably on the move, right? If we also have a desktop device. So make sure that we're sending that right message, at that time. If we see that Dominic is always opening on his mobile device at 11 o'clock in the morning, then guess what? Let's send him the long form content at 6 o'clock in the evening, because he's probably on his desktop device at that point. And I know I just said a lot of things, but the whole idea is that the data actually gets very complex. And we try to, again, in the consumer review survey, we try to give marketers good, digestible things on each one of those metrics that we share, so that way they can actually take something valuable out of it.
No, I appreciate that. And I want to drill down on that topic for just a second. So, we've talked about the divide. We've had this conversation on this show many times with many different marketers about, is email dead? Is the younger generation not using it as much as they used to? How does that impact marketing activities? So I want to platform what you just said and drill down a little bit. How do you have a success story? Do you have an organization that you've worked with in the past, and you can leave their name out of the description here, that has effectively leveraged the information you've talked about, that knows, especially for the younger audience where all of the conversation is Snapchat, all of the conversation is social media, and there's less of the dialogue around email marketing. Do you have someone who's taken some of the data, who's taken some of the engagement that you get through social, and then has very effectively used that in order to power the email marketing campaign?
So first of all, just to dispel the myth a little bit, that 18 to 35 generation, they still do email. And what we found in our survey is actually only about 9% of them actually preferred social over email. Because you have to think about, again, going back to the context, as a marketer, I want to push out information to get them to do something. Email still is a great opportunity for that. But we flip this around. How do of course, that 18 to 35 and heck, 18 to 64 generations, we all are engaging on social media, and we use it to connect with our friends. We do use it to connect with brands. We get it. We use it to find out about new brands. We use it to find out about new products that we want to do. So how do we as marketers actually use that information to be smarter about our marketing? Well, to answer your question specifically, we've worked with a retailer, and what they've done is they've used our customer engagement platform to do social engagement through, first of all, you have to incentivize your known customers to engage with you on social media, whether that's following your Facebook page, providing when they register a social login, or providing you their Twitter handle, or whatever that happens to be. by the way, customer service is also a great place to, connect with your customers on, get their social media information through that way. When they've had a good customer service experience, get them to go off and post something, tweet it out. Snapchat and Instagram are great ways to see people actually showing your brand. So you start to use these social monitoring tools to find out what message is resonating with your customers. As this retail brand was starting to look at their customers, talking about them online or talking about their competitors online in positive or negative ways, they were actually using that information to come back and say, what kind of marketing messages do we need to send out? And also we could start to track over time, when is the highest social engagement? Is it after a purchase? Is it a certain time of day? Is it certain days of weeks? And they took all that information and put that back into their marketing calendar. So that way, when they did have something that they were trying to push out through their email channel, to make it more personalized, to make it more relevant for that end consumer, they were actually using information about what day of the week was the best time to send out email, not just by their open rates and click-through rates, but when their customers were actually engaging online. They were also using it to find out specific points about what people weren't liking about their competitors' products. Brands that the competitor was selling. So that way they could actually make sure that they touched on the value propositions that trumped those issues. And so they actually were able to see, just by changing their messaging and the time or the day of the week that they were sending these messages out, they were actually able to see it was. I know it's going to sound small, but a 1.5% increase in engagement from their marketing messages actually, equated to hundreds of $1,000s of additional sales for them, just by paying more attention on the social media channels to drive how they're going to use it in their direct email engagement.
You said something at the beginning of this that I have to revisit, Sean. You asked the millennial age group, basically, for their preference of social media over email. And did I hear you right? Only 9% of respondents indicated that they prefer social to email?
Correct, for marketing messages. Now,
that's huge. That's the opposite of what I would have expected. Can you give us some more context around that?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and it makes sense, because when I'm on a social media channel, I'm there to engage with my friends. I'm there to engage with, share about me, right? This is not necessarily the place where I want product X to be pitching me on everything. Now, that doesn't mean that social media is not relevant for them. But when they look at what's helping drive that purchasing decision, it came out to be only 8.5% preferred social media over email. And what was also interesting, though, is that 4.5% also preferred text over email as a marketing channel. So, and you know what, I assume that we'll see this go up over time. But I also have a feeling that as marketers, we've seen this, social media is going to kill email, blah, 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 right? Sorry if that's a little dismissive, but, email marketing is still the transactional workhorse for everything we want to do. And what I don't think that a lot of people realize when they go through these surveys and things like that, the way questions are asked, yes, millennials, I'll use the word millennials, are out there on social media way more than they are on email. But email is there for a specific set of contexts. It's to do business, whether it's for me to research about my business or to interact with different brands to know when I should be buying something, what I should be buying, what are new products, X, Y, and Z. But social media is there for me to, brag about myself, or to hear what my friends are doing, or to stay in contact with friends and family who aren't nearby. There's two different contexts, right? So
that makes a lot of sense. And for me, Sean, It's almost stepping through the sales funnel, right? It's almost that social is the awareness.
Exactly.
I'll monitor brands, I'll follow brands, but the ones that I'm really married to are the ones where I give my email address, I read what comes in. That is the best way for those brands to market to me because I've made that commitment. Do you think there's validity to that?
Oh, absolutely, because it's easy to see an ad. Right? I mean, we've all seen it before social media, right? Banner ads all over the place. They start to follow you based on brand preference and things like that. But what's way more effective, when you look at the click-through rates on banner ads at, sub, 0.1%, and we still think that that's good because you're just hitting a broad audience versus email where you're getting click-through rates of hopefully in the double digits. It's because people have actually committed to your brand at some point, whether they've purchased from you, whether they've opted in, and you've already proven your worth to that person. So it's much, much easier. So you're right. Social media is a lot about awareness. It does have some conversion in there as well. But, to really think about a customer engagement, you've got to follow that life cycle. You've got to think about how you're going to reach them in awareness, but then what are you going to do to them? What are you going to offer them? What are you going to entice them with? Or why is your product so great that you're going to actually convert them to say, yeah, you know what? I want to know more about this brand. And I think that that's where marketers right now are unfortunately very siloed. You've got your social media groups in many companies. You've got your email marketers. You've got your web marketers. You've got your e-commerce people. And unfortunately, they're not looking at this as a full life cycle continuum. So they're not creating a message that works across the social media, across the email, across the e-commerce platform all the way through. That's consistent in a way that you actually treat a customer the same way from the moment that you engage with them on Facebook all the way through that they're actually out there advocating your brand for you on Instagram or wherever else, right?
You read my mind. That's exactly where I wanted to go. You're hitting some of those gaps. Let's take a deeper dive there. Tell us a story. Give us an example of some major gaps that existed within an organization that you were working with. Some things that you could just walk in off the street and say, hey, as it comes to email marketing or marketing in general, you mentioned silos. I'm sure that's part of it. But if you can operationalize that for us, if you can personalize that for us, I'd like to hear about some of the what I want to do is I want someone listening to us today to say, oh, my Lord, we do that, and hear from you about how they might be able to pivot away from that practice.
Well, there's actually a couple examples. I'm going to say on the B2C side because there's a B2B one that is really incredible, but it doesn't target on the social media, but it's the same concept. So let's talk about the B2C side real quick. So there are a number of brands out there that I can think of that, and I'm going to just pick on Amazon for a second because this happened to me recently. I was out shopping for a suitcase. I travel a lot. I need a new suitcase. I went to Google, did some searching, and found a few very specific kinds of suitcases that I wanted to look at. I went to Amazon and I put a couple in my cart, and then I went away, went and did some more research, looked at a few more sites. And so I started getting banner ads, retargeting banner ads from Amazon with this suitcase, right? And I know we've all seen this, right? Zappos was the first ones to really start annoying us with this, but we're now to this point where we might not know who that end consumer is, but we've got a cookie ID, and we can start to give them relevant messages on the information that they've told us. And the information that I told them was, I am looking for a suitcase. And so they started doing some retargeting, and they were using the ads actually showed one of the suitcases that I was looking at, and it started following me around. Great. Then I got an email message a day later reminding me that I had this suitcase in my shopping cart and that I should come back and finish the transaction. So I went and actually clicked on that. So I've engaged with their awareness marketing group. Now I have engaged with their direct marketing group with the email side of it. I actually purchased that suitcase that I had in my cart. So I did what the email marketers wanted me to do. So you know what? I bet you back at Amazon, they said, you know what? We've got this person habituated. They love their Amazon Prime, and we got them to come back and finish the transaction. Well, guess what's happened? It has been a month since my birthday. I bought this for myself for my birthday. I am still getting the banner ads from Amazon for that suitcase. And now it's started to die off a little bit, but I'm still getting them to this day. And so what this is telling me is that their awareness marketing group is still out there retargeting me because of one thing that a cookie ID did a while ago that the email marketing group didn't have the association that Sean was associated with this cookie ID, and that he's actually converted his purchase. So now they're out there paying not only for my eyeballs for seeing this banner ad, but they're also annoying me because I'm doing this. And so guess what? I also haven't gone back to their loyalty group and actually put a review up on Amazon because I'm so annoyed with my experience with them at this point. Right?
I've asked for these stories consistently. I don't want to interrupt, but I do want to let you know this one comes up consistently. So your experience is not isolated.
So we've actually turned that story around in a unique way with a customer of ours who's in the media space. And they work with a lot of OEM manufacturers, so original equipment manufacturers who they put their devices in something else that you buy. And so they don't have a lot of interactions with the end consumer directly, but they do know a set of cookie IDs when they buy this piece of equipment that that we can start to target them with messaging to convert from your trial over to a purchase. Now, in the trial phase, we don't know who that end consumer is. All we have is that they're in a geographic location or that they're in and that they've purchased something in the last 30 days to do this. And so we start to do some retargeting with that. With the platform that we've built around this is that once we are out there doing this retargeting, we actually try to give offers that will actually convert somebody not necessarily to purchase, to go from trial to purchase, but actually to convert them from anonymous to known. So give them content, give them a reason to log in to say, hey, to make your trial experience even better, log in. So now you've converted somebody from an anonymous customer to a known customer. And so you're retargeting, you now change your retargeting a little bit to say, okay, now we know a little bit more about them. We have a little more in their preferences. We know what kind of content they're interested in that actually got them to convert. So the retargeting of the banner ads out there are a little more specific to those people when we see them. But also now we have a way that we engage with the email. Now the email and the retargeting are now in sync, which is convert this person from trial to purchase, right? And so now we've tied these two sets of information together. So now we're working in harmony. And this is ongoing updating through our customer engagement platform that then if somebody converts either from that retargeting banner a second time or through now an email, the nurturing cadence that we've put them through, we then are able to then take them out of the email cadence because they've now converted. They've done what we've wanted them to do. And it doesn't matter if they converted via email, through the website, or through the retargeting. Any one of those three will now change your experience because now we've got you into a new stream, which is, hey, now that you've purchased, here's all the benefits. How do you get them to attach? Then once somebody has been in that attachment phase for 60 days, if they've done the things we've wanted them to do, either through sharing us on social media, which we're able to engage with them, done something on the website, through an email or, again, a banner ad that's targeted to our now known users, then we actually take them into a new stream, which is to get them to be an advocate. Because, of course, your customers are the best advocates for your brands. And it is amazing that when you're in a siloed organization, the ability to do that is almost impossible because you've got great metrics in your ad buying, you've got great metrics in your email, but you don't know who you're talking to and you don't know how to get the two to work together. But I think that new digital marketers, going into the future, they're going to want more of this full life cycle engagement it's what's going to break you through the noise. It's going to make you quit wasting money on people that have already converted. It's going to make you be more effective with the messaging for the people who are you're most likely to be your advocates. And that's really what's going to help all of us be better marketers, because it also means that as consumers, we're getting less marketing messaging as well, which I think we all want.
Definitely. Well, let's carry that forward. Who out there should we be following? Who should we be watching? Who's doing the best forward thinking around innovation, design, integration between email, social, and all of the awareness that comes with trying to follow the customer through the process? Who are those names that we can really learn from?
Well, of course, all of our customers. So our customers are genius. No, in all seriousness, it's a lot of the brands, and even then, I don't actually see anyone fully doing it for the whole brand. I will see campaigns though that really stand out, and I see Adidas does a really good job. There are a number of companies that are out there that specific. How do I put this? They're not our companies. There are companies like Olopic and Pixley out there that are looking at brands that are engaging with user-generated content. Those brands that are actually looking at user-generated content and how they use that in marketing are probably going to be the brands that are most effective with this, because they're actually saying that our consumers are the ones out there doing the best marketing for us. So let's go see where they're engaging, how they're engaging. I see a lot of little campaigns here and there. Coke has done a couple where I've noticed that integration with their mobile app and their email marketing and their banner ads worked really well. I think that there's been a few media brands. I don't want to mention names because some of them are our customers and I don't want to be promoting them. You see a few of these media companies that have mobile apps and web experiences that are actually tied really closely together, using that information to feed back into certain campaigns around raffles or winning tickets or things like that. I think I will call out one brand that I think needs to step up their game: Ticketmaster or any other ticketing system, StubHub, any of those guys. Man, you have so much information about your consumers. You have fans out there who are going to be some of the, they're not fans of maybe the ticketing systems, but they're the fans of music or sporting events or whatever, and they own all of this anonymous and known data about these people. They know buying habits, they know all this stuff. Those brands, those kinds of brands where they start to look at that are probably sitting on just a really easy way to get smarter about marketing to customers rather than the crud marketing that I get from them now, right? I get emails and banner ads about bands that I would never, ever listen to. But you guys know my purchasing history. You know which bands I favorited on Facebook. They know this information and they're not using it. And I know I've been talking a lot about B2C companies, but this is available to B2B companies as well. We worked with a large chip manufacturer that's just started looking at using their retargeting information to find out where their anonymous people are actually going to find content, to go look at editorials and things like that. And they actually were able to use that to make more specific content decisions for their known people that they were emailing to, and making sure that those experiences on the upsell on their thank you pages were relevant to those customers. So, a lot of times brands think that, you've got to be a retail brand. You got to be selling to hundreds of millions of people to really make a lot of this stuff effective. It's not, because it's not just about the targeting. It's also about the listening and learning about who your customers are, where they're engaging, and what kind of message is resonating with them.
Oh, Sean, there's so much here. There's so much to this. We could spend 4 hours just delving into this. But before we close, platform that for me, go from, and I think you did a great job of sharing brands that aren't doing well, being respectful, of course, to not over promoting the brands that you think are doing it well. Let's move away from the individual stories. Give us a few action items, a few key things that someone should walk away from this conversation thinking as they apply it to the marketing operation within their own organization.
First of all, listening and hypothesizing are two things that I think that as marketers we have to do a lot more. And you look at our budgets and the people that we have on our teams over the last 10 years, we have to do it with less. And I think that too many of us are in this reaction mode where, hey, we have to drive X number of leads, or we have to drive X number of sales, or, I've even worked with some brands where it's, just growing the size of the database. That's, when you're looking at those measurements specifically, and that's all you're making your decisions off of, too many times we act in reactive manners. We have more data than we've ever had before. Now is the time to start to say, you might not be able to tackle it all today, but now's the time to start to say, hey, what if we did this? And you might not have all of the data you need, but if you say, what if, you start to think about what data you would need. And then if you don't have it all, you start to say, okay, let's start collecting that data, or let's start asking this information. And then once you have what if, then you go with, because I want to. So I have a what if I knew more about where my customers were engaging on social media? Because I want to be able to use that information to drive more relevant messaging to them in my known channels, right? And so again, this goes to not just looking at what your day-to-day job. If you're just an email marketer, there is so much information for you in the customer service group. There is so much information for you in the web analytics group. There is so much information for you in this. But you first have to say, what do I want to know, and what am I going to do with it? Because then it's going to start to break down those silos almost naturally. I would also say that Avinash Kashuk is a Google advocate. I've known him for a really long time, and he has this thing about too many decisions in marketing are made by the hippo, which is the highest paid person in the organization, right? And we're afraid a lot of times in our organizations to challenge that. Well, this is the way it's always been done, or this is what our CMO is saying that we need to be doing. If you start with the what if, because I want to methodology, then what we internally call quantifiable creativity, it allows you to set up yourself that even when you have that hippo, that officer or the CMO or that senior VP who's been telling you this is the way it's got to be done, you actually have now the information and the data behind it that will help change what you're doing, will help convince them. And you know what? If they take a look at it and it's wrong, even if you had the what if and the information that you come back with doesn't prove out what you wanted to do, you have learned something, and it's something that you should be sharing, not just within your group, but also within other groups and up to the senior leadership, because that's learning that works across multiple channels. And I think the last thing I would really say is that I hope that what we see in 2017 and beyond is that we see marketing groups focus much more on campaigns. Mobile devices have changed how consumers interact with us, and we hear everything about customer stories and customer journeys and things like that. Really, if we just went back to looking at campaigns, we're saying, hey, we have a message that wants to get out, and then you don't let the channel dictate the message, but you actually say, this is the message we want to do. How do we adapt it to work across multiple channels? Because none of our consumers anymore only engage with us on email. None of them only engage with us in app or only on social media. They engage with us in all of these places. So as marketers, start to work on campaigns across the silos rather than just say, hey, I have an email campaign that gets out, or I have a banner campaign that has to get out. Start to really build those true campaigns that go across everything.
Fantastic advice, Sean. We'll cover the hippo syndrome as an entire topic of our next call. How about that?
Excellent.
Where can people go to learn more about you personally, to learn more about the organization, specifically maybe to get information or the results of the survey?
Yeah, absolutely. If you want to know more about Mapp, go to mapp.com. That's MAPP.com. There you can also download the consumer review survey. Please do. I mean, even if you'll never become a customer of ours, there's so much good information in there. And that's really what we're, one of the big tenets that we want to do as the new Mapp Digital is really help marketers do better marketing, whether it's using our tools or something else. We will all get better if we do this. If you want to learn more about me or connect with me, LinkedIn, my favorite social media channel for business. If you go to linkedin.com and search for Shoffstall, Shoffstall, happy to answer questions or just meet new people.
Sean, I sincerely appreciate your time today, and I look forward to future conversations.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
IMA members, what an incredible discussion. So much information around this whole topic of email marketing. Sean gave us some incredible translation, some incredible insights into how to make email relevant, how to incorporate it with your social marketing campaigns, your awareness campaigns. There's a whole lot here, and I look forward to the discussion afterwards. We have a lot more conversations of a similar nature coming up in our march to our 100th episode, which should be within the next few weeks, I think. Don't quote me, but I think my producer told me that this is episode number 97, maybe 96. So we are very close to hitting that 100 mark after 2 years here at I Am a Leader. If you'd like to be a guest on the show or you'd like to recommend a guest to the show, please reach out to me at podcast@imanetwork.org. Stay tuned, IMA.
Ready to join the Internet Marketing Association? Membership is free at imanetwork.org/podcast. It takes less than 1 minute to gain access to research, education, and opportunities to move your career forward. Already a member? We'd love to hear your story. Introduce yourself at podcast@imanetwork.org for a chance to be featured on the show. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you next time on I Am a Leader.